Ladies and gentlemen, if there is one habit that has shaped my life, if there is one force that has sculpted my destiny, it is the power to educate myself every single day. Not just in classrooms, not just in books, but in life, in people, in pain, in victories, and in failures. Every day is a lesson. Every breath is a classroom. And your mind, that's your greatest university. I wasn't born with privilege. I wasn't handed fame. I had to fight for it. I had to learn who I was and who I could become. I had to educate myself in a world that tried to define me. And guess what? I redefined the world instead. You don't need permission to grow. You don't need a title to start learning. Every moment, you're offered a choice. Evolve or repeat. Which one will you choose today? I've read books, yes, but I've also studied eyes. I've studied silence. I've studied rejection and turned it into redirection. That is education. That is empowerment. Every woman, every man, your power lies in how curious you are. Curiosity is not weakness. It is courage. It is your hunger to expand, your refusal to shrink. I learned the world wouldn't always accept me. So I accepted myself first. And then I educated myself enough to become undeniable. Be so learned that no one can overlook you. People said, she can't do it. People said, she's just another pretty face. So I read more. I trained harder. I worked in silence. I educated myself in the art of excellence. I failed too. I've been heartbroken. I've been rejected. But I never stopped learning. I never stopped growing. Because education doesn't end in schools. It begins the moment you decide, I want more. More from life. More from yourself. More from the world. And more to give back. When you educate yourself every day, you rise. You become a force. You become unstoppable. People start asking, who is she? How did she do that? And you will answer with action, with strength, with wisdom in your words, with grace in your silence. They will ask you your secret, and your answer will be simple. I never stopped learning. Education is not just a tool. It's a revolution, a personal revolution you start within. You learn to walk into rooms like you belong there. You learn to speak with substance, to act with purpose, to live with intention. The world changes, the industries change, but an educated mind never goes out of style. Educate yourself in failure, in patience, in listening, in unlearning, in kindness. Every day, ask yourself, what did I learn today? If the answer is nothing, you missed a golden chance. I educated myself about culture, about heritage, about humanity, and that is what made me global. Not fame, not luck, but learning. Educate yourself in confidence, in respect, in resilience, because no one can take that away from you. The world may doubt you. Let them. You just keep growing, you keep showing, and keep glowing, because educated minds are never silent. They speak with fire, with depth, with soul. I've stood on global stages, but I never forget the girl from Bareilly, who read books by candlelight, who dreamt with eyes wide open, who never stopped learning. That girl, she lives in you too, in every person watching this. You don't have to be born ready. You just have to learn your way into greatness. Every page you read, every new skill you master, is a brick in the foundation of your empire. I learned to speak my truth. I learned to own my name. I learned to clap for others and rise without pulling anyone down. That's education. That's evolution. Learn from your past, but don't live there. Learn from your pain, but don't become it. Learn from every person you meet, because even your critics are teachers. The greatest investment you will ever make is in yourself. And the interest it pays, limitless. I was never the smartest in the room, but I was always the most willing to learn. That's what changed everything. When others were sleeping, I was reading. When others were partying, I was studying life. And when they doubted me, I kept learning. Educate your emotions, educate your reactions, educate your decisions. And when the moment comes, you'll be ready. Because you built yourself every single day. You don't need to prove anything to anyone. You just need to improve yourself constantly. You are your greatest project. Never stop building, never stop learning. Learn languages, learn leadership, learn humility, learn to listen. Your knowledge will open doors no key ever could. I've seen it. I've lived it. And I promise you, it works. You want to change your life? Educate yourself every day. Wake up with curiosity. Sleep with gratitude. That is how you build success. Not overnight, but every day. One book at a time. One podcast, one question, one step. Build a mind so strong, the world bows in respect. Education is not just information, it's transformation. The more you know, the more powerful you become. But true education, it begins when the ego ends. When you admit, I don't know everything, and then strive to know more. I wasn't always confident. I had to educate myself in self-worth. I had to unlearn what society taught me. That beauty is power. No, knowledge is power. I grew into myself line by line, lesson by lesson. Not in one day, but every day. I read about history. I studied women who dared. I studied people who failed forward. I studied greatness. And then I mirrored it. Don't just go through life. Grow through life. Through every struggle, learn something. Education teaches you how to think, how to question, how to challenge, how to create. And the best education comes when you're knocked down, when the lights are off, when the world is silent. That's when I learned who I really was. Not on the stage, not on the cover of magazines, but in my moments of solitude. I studied my fears. I rewrote my story. And chapter by chapter, I evolved. Educating yourself isn't glamorous. It's a quiet grind. It's saying no to comfort and yes to growth. Most people want the glory. Few want the grind. But those who do write their own legacies. Educate yourself in the art of being calm, in the skill of patience, in the beauty of consistency. Learn to speak, not to impress, but to impact. Learn to act not out of fear, but from vision. Your mind is your empire. Build it, brick by brick, book by book, day by day. And if the world underestimates you, let them. You just keep studying, keep practicing, keep rising. People see the glam, they don't see the grind, the early mornings, the silent sacrifices, the painful growth. But all of it is worth it. Because when knowledge becomes your identity, no one can steal it. They can take your fame, but not your wisdom. I've stood in boardrooms, I've walked red carpets, and I've stood alone in my room with tears in my eyes. But every time, I chose to learn. Learn from failure, learn from betrayal, learn from your mistakes. Because regret is the cost of not learning. There were days I felt lost, and books saved me. Ideas saved me. A new perspective saved me. Education expands your mind. It stretches your soul. It awakens your purpose. I educated myself on how to say no, on how to say yes to the right things, on how to value my time. Because not everything deserves your energy. But learning always does. Be so well-read that ignorance can't touch you. Be so mentally rich that fear can't shake you. Learn how money works. Learn how your mind works. Learn how people work. That's how leaders are born. If you want a different life, educate yourself into it. Don't just learn what to do. Learn how to think, learn why it matters, learn who you're becoming. I've played many roles, but my favorite one, the role of a student of life. Because students grow, students evolve, students transform into masters. When others stopped reading, I kept going. When others stopped trying, I kept learning. That's how dreams turn into achievements. Ask more questions, seek more truth, study more deeply, educate your mind, elevate your life. Learn discipline, learn emotional intelligence, learn how to think independently. Your degree may get you a job, but self-education will build your empire. I never waited to be taught. I taught myself. I took notes from life. I read between the lines. I saw lessons in failure. Because life doesn't test you with books. It tests you with reality. And only the learned survive. I studied rejection. I studied loss. I studied pain, and I turned all of them into power. Learn to stand tall, learn to bounce back, learn to keep moving. Not because life is easy, but because you're wiser. You want to be unforgettable? Then never stop educating yourself. Every successful person I've met reads, learns, reflects. Don't envy them, emulate them, study them. Behind their success is silent education. Learn how to lead, how to forgive, how to influence, how to serve. Education makes you powerful, not loud, not arrogant, but quietly, unshakably powerful. When you educate yourself, you stop competing with others. You start competing with your past self. That's how you win. That's how you grow. The world doesn't need more noise. It needs more wisdom. And that starts with you. Don't just watch success. Study it. Don't just want change, become it. Your mind is a garden. Feed it truth. Feed it strength. Feed it courage. Read stories of survivors. Learn from voices that were once silenced. Learn to rise, even when it's hard. Your education is your revolution. It is your power, your legacy. People may forget what you said, but they will never forget what you taught them. So teach by example.